So what could we get with $10,000? Not much. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go to, obviously Rolex, of course, sort lowest to highest. Case size, 35 to 40. Now, first up, we're getting some of these oyster date precisions. Now, these are old school pieces, but not bad pieces, especially when we want to get one under our belt, something just to start off with. Now, looking at this, what I'm actually leaning towards is something like this. The blue dial looks like it's got a little bit of color, a little bit of texture, looks a little bit interesting. The edges look a little bit ratty and wrecked, but for 1700, it's not that bad. It's something I could take. You could also put on a nice strap. I think the color can work. I'm not against the silver dial. I just like something that has a little bit of texture. But what I think we will actually do is we will go for this bad boy here. Now, a lot of these lower end pieces are going to be Japanese because the Japanese and US exchange rate is quite bad. So even though that they have a markup in Japan, they're actually at a cheaper price for us. Now, looking at this, okay, the hands look all right. But when we have a look at the markers here, they do look a little bit ratty and a little bit off, but that's to be expected with an old school 6694. Now, what I also want to point out is it does look like it's been polished crazy and might need a new spring bar just to kind of fix it up because it does look a little bit off. But overall, I don't think that's too bad. I think that is a good one. So let's buy that one, add that one to the cart. So that means right now we've got $7,246 to work with. What we could actually go for here, and I'm not against it, is we could go a Datejust. Now, because we already have the blue face, we can actually get something with the silver dial, or we could go a little bit of a two-tone. Now, if we had a little bit more to work with, I'd prefer to go for more of this steel look, but I do think that a piece like this is quintessential Rolex. I do like a two-tone Datejust. Now, it needs a bit of a clean. We can't polish it. The crystal looks a little bit janky. But saying that, overall, if you really needed to put together a three-piece Rolex collection for $10,000, I don't think this is too bad. I think a little bit of cleaning, a little bit of elbow grease, we could not get some of this dirt cleaned up without having to polish it. I think that's good. So let's lock this in for $3,339. Now we're left with $3,907. Let's see what we can get. Now, some of these Datejusts don't actually look bad. Now, I know we've already got a Datejust, but I'm gonna see if we can get something that looks a little bit different to round out the collection. Now, I'm gonna go something a little bit crazy because we've already got two pieces that look very similar to each other. What I'm actually gonna do right now is look at getting either this, the Rolex Precision, or the one next to it, the Rolex Cellini. I think the Cellini shape, I don't really like it. I think it's a little bit off, but I think we might be onto a winner right here. Why do I think we're onto a winner? It looks different, it looks unique. It's the kind of piece that you can wear somewhere and someone goes, that's interesting, I haven't seen that before, and you can whip it out and tell a story. Having a look at it, it does look very old, very vintage, but I think it's got a little bit of character. Well, when we have a look at some of these photos, I'm starting to fall in love with this piece. On the wrist, I think it looks elegant, it looks nice, it looks vintage, the movement looks beautiful. I'd even put a display case back on that just to make sure that it looks absolutely glorious. You can take it out. So we're gonna lock this in at $3,827, which leaves us around $80 to go out and buy some beer or get a feed from McDonald's. Now, the next collection is the Subscribe Collection. Go down there and make sure you smash that like button and hit that subscribe button. And the good thing is, it won't cost you a thing. So what can you get for $25,000? This is where it gets a little bit fun and a little bit interesting. Straight off the bat, we need to get a Submariner in the collection. So now we're gonna go sort by lowest to highest in the Submariner category. And this is where we will try to find something that looks modern. I would like a ceramic bezel, but I don't think it's gonna work when we wanna try to fill up the rest of the $25,000 collection. So we're gonna be looking for something. I would like a 1-1, but if we need to go a 1-6, then we'll just have to deal with that. So we've gone through and put in that reference. What we can get right now is the 116610LN. I think this is going to be a quality piece. Now what I'm going to do to try to make it a little bit exciting is we're actually going to opt for a seller that isn't in Japan. Now we can see here we've got a seller in the US for $11,700. When we jump in and check out these photos, because they aren't the stock photos that you see on the website, bumping through, the quality doesn't look too bad. Looks like it's in decent shape. The clasp doesn't look scratched up, and if you know about the clasps can get pretty dinged up when you're desk diving. Overall, it looks good. Box, papers, everything. We're gonna lock this in for $11,700. Now, I really would like to get a Daytona in this collection, but right now the Daytonas are just too priced out of this collection if we want to get 3 in there. I would like to get something a little bit dressy, and eyeing off something like the Day Date, the fact that you can get them starting from $8,000 feels like it could be a good deal. But what I want to do is I want to go to the other end. I want to go a little bit sporty, a little bit crazy. I'm thinking something like the Explorer, just because we can then get a bit of a GMT function in there without having a GMT that looks very similar to the sub, so we can match up this collection, get this collection working a little bit different. Now, when we go to lowest to highest, I would like to get a white face. I would like to get a polar. I think that would work really well. And I think this, just off the bat, might just work for us. When we have a look at this Polar Explorer 2, I absolutely love it. I think it looks good. When we actually get a little bit deeper in, it looks like this has been polished up quite hard. So it's been dinged there, but the center, the center satin finish looks a little bit off. It looks like it has been touched up by someone that doesn't really know what they're doing, because the scratches look a little bit deeper, look a little bit aftermarket. So what I'm actually going to do is we're going to go back and see what else we can find to see if we can get something in a little bit better of condition. Coming here, $7,200. It looks like it might be in better condition, and actually it does. So having a look here, I'm happier with the condition of this piece. There are some scratches, as you would expect, but overall it doesn't look too bad. The bezel doesn't look like it's dinged up. The satin finish actually looks quite well. It doesn't look like it's been absolutely thrashed, although that could be the lighting. I think we're going to lock this in for $7,212. Now this means we are left with $6,088 to get a piece. Now I said before that I wanted to get something closer to a Day Date. I thought that would work, but it's around $2,000 out of our budget. So what I'm actually going to go do now is have a look at a Datejust, but we're going to go for a 41mm, something more recent. Maybe we'll go the Datejust 2 instead of the Datejust 41, but we'll see what we can get. Now I did some hunting and I said that I wanted something like a Day Date, but we couldn't get one. Come across this Datejust 36 6605. Now this is a gorgeous piece. It's got the Rolex buckle, and as we bump through here, we can just see it. It has class. It's got all the original invoices. This is amazing. I think this is the piece that we are going to lock in and get, because it's got those vibes. It's completely precious metal with some gold. So it's got that gold look like we'd have with a Day Date, but it is a Datejust. And I think on the strap, it adds a little bit of class to it. So let's lock this in for $6,528. Now look, I know I said we had a $25,000 limit and we've actually gone $440 over. So what we could actually do is get a lower cost sort of Submariner or lower cost Explorer. I think going a low cost Explorer would be a better option. Now we're going to get into some good money. What 3 Rolex Collection can we build with $50,000? First up, without a doubt, we are getting a Daytona under our belts. Getting a sort of a ceramic Daytona might be a good option, but I think to preserve some capital so we can get some heavy hitting pieces later on, what we're actually going to do is we're going to go the steel Daytona. Now having a look, there are a lot of two-tone Daytonas. I'm not too much of a fan. It's not the first choice, but I'm not turned off by them. But having a look here, I'm going to be looking for something that isn't a two-tone Daytona. Now this one right here, $17,160 in the US. It does look like it has been beat around. It doesn't have many other photos. I'm not sure if I trust it to put it into this video because there aren't enough photos to verify that it's real. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down here. Now we have a Daytona black face, $19,400. and I don't mind this. It does look like the bezel has seen better days. It looks a little faded. It does look like it has been polished as well, especially when you start to have a look at some of these edges. But some of this dirt, I'm sure that we can buff it out, clean it up. A little bit of elbow grease can go into it, and we can actually get something good out of it. Looking at this Daytona, I think this is perfect. This will fit in really well into the collection. So I think we're going to lock this in for $19,499. Now with that in the bag, we have $30,501 left. Now let's see what we can get. And I think I know the perfect one. Let's get a GMT Master 2. I would like a Pepsi. I think that would work really well, and I want to get it on Jubilee. So that's what we're going to go for right now. Have a look and see if we can find one. And I think I have found the one. This one from the UK, $15,338. Now, yes, it does look like it's been touched up, but having a look at the bezel, the crystal, how everything is looking, even though it has been worn, it has been loved, it looks like it is in a decent condition for what we're actually looking for. This is from 2004, so we are coming up to around 20 years ago. I think this is going to work just well on the Jubilee. I think it's brilliant. It's got a lot of pop, it's got a lot of class. I think we're going to lock this in for $15,338. This leaves us with $15,163. Let's see what we can get with that, and I am going to have to lean towards a day date. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go all day dates, and we're going to go lowest to highest. We're going to end up needing to get something a little bit older, and it's going to be a 36 mil, but we've got around that 15 grand mark to spend. So what I think we'll do is we'll go all the way to the 15 mark and then head our way back. So we actually have around $15,100, and this may be a little bit off, but I'm almost leaning towards an oyster quartz. I haven't had an oyster quartz in hand, but I love the way that the oyster quartz looks. Now this doesn't look like the English variation, but I do really like the way that the oyster quartz looks. I also think it's got a great heritage to it, a great story behind the way that Rolex and the Swiss brands actually had to pivot to the quartz crisis, but also the way that these links just look like you've got an AP on the wrist. I think it's very interesting. And even though I've gone in thinking about getting a piece similar to this, I actually think we're going to go for the oyster quartz. Now, there's going to be a lot of hate in the comments. People are going to be up in arms about it, but I think we've already got two relatively newish kind of pieces, and it'd be nice to have a piece that is a storyteller, a piece that'll stop people on the streets, a piece that you can actually talk to the history and educate them about Rolex, the quartz crisis, and how the industry overcame that. And I think that almost is as good as just having a flashy gold watch on your wrist. And I think we have found the piece right here, $14,999. It's English, which is great because I can read it. Overall, the bezel still looks like it looks a little bit dinged up in some places. Maybe it's been polished a couple of times. Overall, looking at it, doesn't look too bad for a piece that was produced around 1980. Looking at the band, it does look like it has a little bit of stretch, which is to be expected with a gold piece, especially with the hollow links. But overall, I think that that band looks glorious. It reminds me of an AP. It's got the history, it's got the heritage, it's got the story of the quartz crisis of Rolex. I think this is a showstopper. This is a great piece to have. So let's lock this in for $14,999. Now let's get in and see what we can build as a Rolex collection with $100,000. Now straight off the bat, we are going for a GMT. Again, we're going for a Pepsi. Now what we're going to do is we're going for one of the new Pepsis, as big as we can, big heavy hitter. And what I'm actually going to do is we're actually going to go straight to the year, and we're going to make sure that we get a year that is 2022, 2023, and see what we get. I would like to have a Pepsi on a Jubilee. Having a look here, we're getting some nice pieces on the Oyster for around 20,000, and then right here we are getting a nice piece right in the US, $21,000. Looks quite good. It says it's pre-owned. Condition doesn't look bad at all. Looking at the bezel, looks good. Bump through some of the pictures, see what it's like. Getting that on your wrist, you'll be happy. I love it. Let's lock that in, $21,000. Now we have $79,000 to work with, and I think I know the perfect piece to fit right into this collection. We're gonna get a Sky Dweller. I like the complication of the Sky Dweller. I think there are some great variations of the Sky Dweller, so let's jump in and check it out. Right here, we've got the Sky Dweller blue face on the Oyster. I don't mind the Jubilee, but we've got the Jubilee on the GMT, so we're going to go Oyster just to mix it up. I know that's sacrilegious. I know that with the Jubilee, you should have the fluted bezel, but this is what we're going to do just to mix it up. I think this is going to be a perfect piece. The complication, Rolex's most complicated piece. So right here, we are going to get a Sky Dweller, $24,250. And that leaves us with $54,750. So we can go big, we can go hard. Now, what would you get if you had $50,000 to spend on a Rolex and you had free run? Let's jump in and go for it. I think the Daytona is going to take it out because I feel like we don't have a chrono in this mix just yet. We've got $50,000. So I know it's going to be too much out of the reach, but what I think we should do is we should go highest to lowest and just see what we can get. And almost right off the bat, look at this. I feel like the Rolex gods are speaking to us. We've got a white gold Daytona on the Oyster Flex. I think there's no more searching that needs to be done. This popped up. It says it's for us. I think we need to take it. This is a glorious, beautiful piece. And with that being 55,000 flat, we are actually over budget by $250, but I don't think it matters too much when we've got this beautiful collection. Now to round this out, to just go hardcore all out, we are going to see what we can build with $250,000. Now first up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a platinum Daytona. I think that is just a beautiful piece, gorgeous piece, needs to happen. We're going to go case material and we are going to go platinum and see what we can get. Now with this $250,000, we've got a lot to work with, but we'll go sort by lowest to highest just to make sure we're not paying too much. And we can see right here, we can pick them up for around $100,000. So having a look at this Platinum Daytona, it does look like it has been a little bit loved. Production year is 2013, so it's around 10 years old, but overall looks like it's got good condition, got box, got papers, got everything. We're gonna lock this in for $101,704. Now next up, because I'm an absolute degenerate, we're gonna go Platinum Day Date. Let's get into it. Now what we're gonna go for is I do want to get one that has the fluted bezel. I'm not gonna accept this first one because it looks a little bit off in terms of pricing compared to what everything else is. So going through, having a look, looking for a Platinum Day Date with the fluted bezel. And I think this is the piece. In the US, 94, so almost $95,000. When we punch through, it's still wrapped up, unworn, 2023. This looks like an absolute beauty, box and papers. We're gonna lock this platinum bad boy in for $94,899. Now we've got $53,397 left. What we're gonna do is we're actually gonna go back Submariner, but I don't think we're just gonna go the standard Submariner. We're gonna go for a yellow gold Submariner. Now I'm a big fan of the bluesy in two-tone, but what I think we're gonna do is we're going to go a solid gold blue just because this guy is an absolute boss. Now what we're actually gonna do is we're actually gonna go year and see if we can get one that is in the last couple of years for the $53,000. Sort lowest to highest, and then what we get is some bad boys right here. I'm liking the look of this. Over in the US, $42,000. Having a look, bumping through. They've got the box, they've got the papers. Looks great. No scratches on the clasp. Doesn't look like they have been desk diving on this. So I'm going to lock in this piece at $42,000. Now this leaves us a surplus of $11,397, which means that we could almost go buy another little piece here and there, or buy a nice Gucci or Louis Vuitton watch roll. So that is a look at what you can build for 10, 25, 50, 100, $250,000 if you had that bankroll and you wanted to build that good, perfect 3-watch collection. Let me know what you would build for those different price categories in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you think, even if I don't agree with it all the time. If you had fun watching this video, if you have found value watching this video, if you were entertained, go down there, hit up that subscribe button, also hit up that like button. As always, it's been a pleasure having you with me. I look forward to talking to you next time.